Hey peepsy doodles. So, sounds like my baby's about to get up anyway, but I wanted to do a video on how to start shamanic journeying. I did a question on Facebook the other day where I asked, there was 3 different options in which video you guys wanted to see, and overwhelmingly the number one that everybody really wanted was me explaining how to do shamanic journeying. So it's kind of difficult because I'm not like proficient. I haven't been doing it for years. I've only been doing it for I don't know, a couple months, I think, since probably the beginning of the year, so 4 or 5 months. I did take a class recently. I learned on my own, and then I went and took a class, and basically everything that I learned from what I read, I relearned in the class. So it just kind of helped to solidify that I was doing it correctly, whatever that means, because there's a different kind of correct for everyone. So I kind of just want to explain to you guys what journeying is, and then how I go about doing it. And maybe that'll help, maybe it won't, I'm not sure. I also have a few books to share with you guys. The number one being this one. I've shown you guys this 1,000 times, but this is literally the book that taught me exactly how to journey. And so if you're going to start journeying and you're not exactly sure where to start or what it is, this is the book that I highly recommend. So it's Shamanic Journeying, A Beginner's Guide by Sandra Ingerman. And Sandra Ingerman, however you pronounce it, her books are just fantastic. She has a few YouTube videos up, but yes, this book, amazing. The other one is Seeing in the Dark, Claim Your Own Shamanic Power Now and in the Coming Age, Colleen Dietzman. This one kind of talks a little bit more about shamanic practice in general, whereas this specifically talks about journeying. So this book kind of talks about, what shamanism is, the 3 worlds, because when you journey, you choose a world to journey to, the power animals and teachers, preparing to journey, common questions, so like FAQs, undertaking your first shamanic journey, so she'll walk you through your first journey, divination and healing journeys, additional journeys, and then integrating your practice within your community. Hi everyone, I'm not ignoring you. I do see all the hellos in the comments. I just know I kind of have limited time, unfortunately. So the nice thing about this is that in the back, if you buy it new or with the CD, there is a CD that has 3 tracks. They're drumming tracks. So there's a 12-minute track with whistles and rattles, a 20-minute double drumming track, and then a 30-minute single drumming track. Normally I do the 12-minute, and the nice thing about this is you can go on YouTube and literally look up journeying drumming tracks, and the picture of this book will show up, and all 3 of those are available on YouTube. So if you're going to undergo journeying and you don't have the book, or you have the book cheaper on Kindle or whatever, you can still get the tracks on YouTube for free. So there's that. So basically when you're journeying, you are going to a different realm, and you are meeting with either your power animals or teachers. When you undergo a journey, you go to one of 3 worlds. There is the underworld or the lower world, not to be confused with the underworld as in hell. A lot of people use the term lower world because they don't like the connotations behind underworld, whatever. And because there's a lower and an under, it doesn't necessarily mean that one is below us and one is above us. It's just basically how you get to the different realms to kind of, there's different energies in both. Usually in the lower world, you travel down there to meet your power animals. So like, for example, I will go to the lower world to talk with and meet with Fox. fox is my power animal. He is my totem. He is the animal that will be with me for the rest of my life. Everybody has a power animal that will be with them forever. And then there are other animals that will come in as they're needed. You know, they come and go. But the fox is mine, and he is with me forever. So that's your first journey in the book, is learning how to travel to the underworld, because normally the underworld, or the lower world, is the easiest one to get to and to kind of understand journeying. I've gone to the lower world multiple times. I've only gone to the upper world once. The upper world is where you will meet your teachers. Now, normally teachers are in human form. A lot of people meet big names like Jesus, Buddha, different gods and goddesses. Like my specific teacher is Isis. I met her when I was at my class. It was the first time I went up there, and so she is my teacher that will be with me forever. And it is the same thing now you can meet teachers in the lower world, and you can meet animals in the upper world, but normally that's how it goes, is teachers are up and your power animals are down. Now, my fox does travel with me no matter where I go. The fox will come with me to the upper world. The fox will come with me to the middle world. Now, the middle world is basically the world as it is now. So you literally, when you do your journey, you will travel to the world that you are now, but it's basically without time and space, so you can travel wherever you want within a blink of an eye. And all of the other creatures are there, so ghosts and spirits are big ones that you can come in contact with. The middle world, fairies, gnomes, elementals, you can talk with trees, you can, that type of thing. So a lot of times the middle world is something that they tell you to hold off on until you have journeyed for quite a while, because there are entities in the middle world that may not have your best interest in mind, whereas the upper world and the lower world, you don't have any of that that nasties going on. So what I did for learning how to journey to the lower world is I chose the 12-minute drum track from Sandra Ingerman. It starts out with whistles, which the whistles kind of bring your attention to the fact that you are about to journey. It's like that starting point, and it also calls to your guides and your guardians and lets them know, hey, I'm coming, I'm on my way. So it does whistling, and then also in the whistling, right after, there's like a very quick drum beat, and that is when you will make your descent to the lower world, which I will explain in a second. And then, baby's up. Once you get to the lower world, then there's just like a steady drum beat that will continue the entire time that you're there, and then there's a callback. Now, the callback is very important because it lets your spirit, your psyche, your whatever part of you that has actually traveled to another world, it lets that know it is time to return, so that can come back to your body. There have been times, or there will be times, where you may journey and you may get woken up in the middle of a journey. And so that is how people can leave parts of themselves in other worlds. And so there is you literally just go back into the journey, you listen for that callback, and then you bring yourself back. So there's a lot of information. There's a lot to this. There isn't, but there is, which is why I highly recommend getting some type of a book like this one, because it's so good, and it's what taught me, and I love it. Because, we went through an entire, I think it was a 6-hour class, and, there's still so much. It was just the beginning of journeying. So basically, when when you are going to start journeying to the lower world, you sit in a comfortable position, whether you're sitting or lying down or doing kind of something in between. and you will close your eyes and you will just breathe. And you kind of focus and get yourself centered. The drum or the track will start, and in order to get to the lower world, you will see yourself climbing down. So you will, so I'm trying to kind of figure out how to explain this, because this was kind of the hardest part for a lot of people in my class, is understanding how to actually get into the worlds. But yeah, I mean, to get to the lower world, you go down. To get to the upper world, you go up. So, you imagine yourself in a natural setting that you've been to before, just because a lot of times that's the easiest. So for me personally, I saw myself back in the nature center that's by my house where my husband proposed to me. It's a little circle of trees, and it has a river on both sides. And so I saw myself there in my, I close my eyes, I imagine myself there. And for me to get down, I actually jump into the water and I swim down. And so I imagine myself swimming down. It's kind of like you go into this tunnel that's normally a big thing. People may find themselves in caves going down. They may follow, they may climb into the trunk of a tree and follow the roots down. There are people that get into elevators and push L for lower world and go down, but there's a sense of traveling down, and there's some kind of a tunnel that you go into. That's the best way that I can describe it. So for me, it's jumping into the river, swimming down through this tunnel, and then when I come out, there's a definite barrier that you will cross. For me, I come out of the tunnel and I come up through the ground, and then I'm in the lower world. And the lower world for me is actually different every time that I get there. The first time that I got there and I got out and I really took a look around, everything was red. Like, it kind of looked like I was on Mars or the Grand Canyon. It was reddish, it was rock, it was kind of bleak. And the first thing that they tell you to do is to walk around, and if you see an animal, you stop and you talk to it and you ask it if it's your power animal, and it will tell you yes or no. Honey says the Honest guys here on YouTube have a great shamanic journeying guided meditation. So that's something you can also look into. But yeah, like for me, I think the first one I came across was a badger. The second one I came across was a bear. And then I saw the fox. Because each time they shook their head no to me. And so once I got to the fox told me yes. Now, everybody will communicate with their power animals differently. Some people can actually hear them. Like my fox and I actually talk to each other, and I hear what he says in my head. Like, I can actually hear him. Some people, it's more emotions. Some people don't see. Now, here's a big thing to understand. Some people do not see the underworld or the lower world at all. Sometimes journeys are not something that they visually see in their mind. I am somebody that does see the journeys in my head. There was one time that I did not see it, but I felt it. It was kind of like an intuition thing, that I knew I was there. I could smell things. I could feel things. I could sense that the fox was there. I could hear him talking to me, but there was no visual. And that is just, that's either how you see things, or it may just be that journey has nothing for you to see. It's more things for you to discover with your other senses. So don't be discouraged if you're journeying and you're not seeing anything, because it may be that you just need to use one of your other senses. To answer another question on whether you use drums or rattles, I personally found that I like drums. I like the tracks that start out with the rattles and the whistles and then continue the entire session with drums. But please, look on YouTube, look online, and discover what will work for you. Usually drums and rattles are what are used for journeying, but it may be that you don't like music at all, that you don't like, the drums and the music are kind of what get your mind into that other state. And I can't remember if it's beta or there's alpha, beta, theta, all that, the different states. But it's the specific drum beat that gets your mind into the state in order for you to find it easier to journey. There are people that have been journeying for years and they don't have to use music at all anymore. And that's great, but I like my drums. So that's basically how I journey to go to the lower world. The upper world is pretty much the same thing. It's just you're finding a way to go up. So some people go up, they start in the same place and they go up through the smoke of a fire. Some people go up with an elevator. Some people go up, I think my way is I climb a tree and the branches continue to reach to the sky, and once you get to the top you will go through some kind of barrier. So for me, my barrier is going through the top of the clouds and then poof, like you literally will feel going through some kind of a barrier. For some people it's a door opening, for some people it's clouds or the ground or going through cobwebs or spider webs. There's some kind of an opening, so you will go through a tunnel to go down, and then you will emerge through, you will go through a barrier of some sort, and it's the same thing going up. You will go up through the sky and you will hit some sort of a barrier before you get to the upper world. Now for me, with the upper world, everything was made of glass, like this crystal glass, so it was really, really strange, and the only thing that I saw there was a tree that was made of glass. And then I met Isis. I talked to a couple. I think I talked to Zeus and I talked to somebody else, and then I met Isis, and her and I talked, and she had quite a different feeling to her, and I kind of wrote down a bunch of notes about her. But, hold on, I just wanted to make sure that I think that I found a paperback on Amazon for that book, but it doesn't say if it has a disc included. How do I find the one that has the CD in it? You know, I don't, I'm trying to see if, like, there's any way to, if you look on Amazon at the pictures, like, there are pictures normally of, like, what the front and the back cover look like. The back cover, about halfway down, actually says, with the instruction in this book and the accompanying audio CD. So you can see if it says that. You can also look in the description of the book to see if it says anything about the CD, or you can send a message to the people that are selling the book to see if it comes with the CD. And if it doesn't come with the CD, like I said, if you have your phone or you have whatever, you can always look on YouTube, because they have the same tricks. I have never once used this CD because I plug my headphones into my phone and I play the track right through YouTube. So I just find it a little bit easier. I got off the book off Hoopia through my library. It has a link on the ebook for the downloads on their site for the drumming tracks. Perfect. So I hope that this was kind of helpful. There's a lot of information, but I have found it's just such a profound experience when you actually get it. And the first time that you get there, you will probably think, am I making this shit up? And something will happen to where you will realize you're not. So I went and I talked to Fox, and the things that he told me were things that I knew that I wasn't just coming up with. It was stuff that was like so quick and so witty that I was like, oh, okay. Or he showed me the way that he showed me things. He said one of the reasons he was here also is to kind of bring out my inner child and explain to me why sorry, I'm listening to my daughter and I'm like losing my train of thought. He was explaining to me that I needed to see through the eyes of a child again, to see through my inner child, so that I could see the world the way a child does, with awe and with wonder, and not with stress and fuckedness. So the way that he told me that is he took me to a lake that showed up, and he had me look into the lake, and I saw this little girl that, when I looked into the reflection, I saw me as a child. And then he explained that to me, and I was like, holy shit. Like, there's just things that you're not making up. You know what I mean? Or, here's another one. You may show up and you may use your mind to make things look a certain way. So, for example, I went and the second time I went, I met with the owl. And the owl was one of my guides that is not here to stay. He's just here to help with something. So when I went and I saw the owl, the first thing that I saw was a gray owl. Now, the gray owl scares the shit out of me. Like, it is the one owl that is not my favorite. I just think they're very, very creepy looking. And so I saw a gray owl, and I immediately tried to change it into a barn owl because they're my favorite. So I changed it into the barn owl, and it didn't feel right, and it changed back to the gray owl. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's how I know that I'm not making it up. It's supposed to be a gray owl, because you can change things with your mind while you're there. It's your mind. But you will either get a feeling that it's not right and it will change back, or like something will happen to where you're like, oh, okay. And you just kind of have to experience it. And you may not get it the first time. You may have to try a couple times. Don't get discouraged, because everyone can journey. Sorry. I saw a couple. We'll talk about synchronicity. I've been searching for a beginner and how-to guide for journeying. I'm so intrigued, and I can't wait to get started. Thanks for sharing. Hey, you're welcome. Yeah, you do wonder if you're making it up. You absolutely do wonder if you're making it up. But once you do it a couple times, especially when you understand the personality of your totem animal, like, I know how Fox talks to me, and I know how he communicates, and I know his language. Like, he has a very beautiful, witty, flowing verbiage when he talks to me, and so I know when he gives me fantastic fucking advice that it's him talking to me and it's not me making it up. Same thing with Isis. Like, the things that she told me that she wanted for her altar, or the reason that she was there, she told me, I don't know a whole lot about Isis. I really don't. And so when I got there and it was her, she told me, one of the main reasons that she was here is she was here to teach me how to be a better mother and a better wife. Like, how to teach me to bring those, because that's what I want. I'm like, I want to be a better mom. I want to be a better wife, and I just don't know how to do it. And she said that's what she's here for. So then, when I went to leave that day, I found the Shamanic Mysteries of Egypt, which had Isis in it. So, where is she? Isis. When I went through to find her page, hold on, because this is kind of cool. So Isis is the Holy Queen and the mother of us all. She is the embodied manifestation of love. So she is basically the Egyptian mother of all, and she is like the ultimate wife to Osiris. They have that huge love. If you don't know the story behind Isis and Osiris, I highly recommend reading it because it's very interesting. But I was in awe, because I'm like, that's the first thing she told me. She was here to teach me how to be a better mother and a better wife, and that is what she is the queen of. She is the queen of motherhood and the queen of love in Egypt. So I'm like, well, I didn't make that shit up, because I didn't know shit about her. I mean, I know about her and Osiris, but you know what I'm saying. And then, the things that she told me she wanted on her altar, when you kind of look at her correspondences and what it is that you should when you're looking it up, like in a book, on things that drow Isis, they were spot on, and I'm like, all right, perfect. So it was pretty great. I'll just look at a couple more questions. Is it possible to journey too much, or are there good times to journey? That is really kind of up to you. You don't want to journey so much that you're kind of leaving behind your mundane world responsibilities, because that can be a thing. And a lot of times if you are journeying too much and your guides think that you need a break, and you need, because once you journey and you get information or you get advice, you need to take that advice and you need to put it into practice. Because if you don't, then your guides are just like, well, what the fuck else do you want me to tell you? Like, I told you this specific thing. You need to take this advice and work it into your life in order to move on with what else we need to discuss. So if you're journeying too much and asking for too much advice and not really putting any of it into use, your guides can kind of shut down your journey portals to where it makes it very difficult or impossible for you to journey. You know, you can go there and you can do the same thing you do every time. Sandra Ingerman was explaining this. She's like, I went through a 6-month period where I could not journey. And she's like, there's just kind of like a cycle. There's an ebb and flow where there may be times where you can't journey. And it may just be that you need to take something that they told you and you need to take the time to put it into practice. So there were days where I journeyed, 3 days in a row. And I think the last time I journeyed was like a month ago. Because you think, oh my God, this is so exciting, I'm going to do it all the time. But you really, I mean, at least for me personally, I don't. Because I have a relationship so deep with the fox that I kind of talk to him throughout the day, him and Isis. I just kind of talk to them throughout the day without journeying. So if I really need to slip away for a little while and go, and there's one time where I literally just went to hang out with Fox. I went to just to talk with him. Him and I ran together. There are times where you can actually merge with your power animal and feel what it's like to be the essence of the fox. And, him and I ran. Like, it was just fantastic to just go and be like, okay, this was good. I needed this little break. It's kind of like, for some people, it's a meditation where you're just like, I gotta slip away for a little while. But it really is a fantastic experience, and if people are having issues or they don't know who their guides are and they don't know who their power animal is or their totem animal is, it's a great way to meet them. And it's also great because when you meet your power animal, it gives it so much more validation to actually meet them and to talk to them and to say, what are you here for? Like, what are you in my life to teach me? And they will tell you what they're there for, and they'll tell you, and you're just like, oh my God, and you just form such a great relationship with them, and it just makes everything so much better. Yeah. So, I spoke to someone once, astral plane, that's the only way I can explain it. A being told me about them and gave me advice and a warning. She presents herself to me in this realm that I shamanic journey. I don't know, because there's a lot of things like that, like astral travel, and where, they're called different things throughout the world, but they're all basically the same type of thing. It's just getting there is different. So I really don't know enough about what you went through to see if it actually is a journey or not, because I would personally think that, like, astral traveling and this are pretty much the same thing. But I don't know enough to say for sure if it is. But anyway, I hope that this kind of helped you guys, or at least get a little bit of a foundation of what to do and what it is and where to go to get more information. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'm not super fantastic at checking the comments, so you can always come and ask me questions on my Pyperh Facebook as well. I check that way more often. But yeah, like I said, this book is fantastic. I highly recommend it. It's pretty cheap. I think, yeah, this is, like, the hard copy is 15. I don't know what it is on Kindle. It's probably 10. But I hope that you guys have super fun journeying. And I'm going to go get my BB, who's been talking for a little while. I'm going to go get her up. So I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I will see you later. Bye.